Hi, and welcome back to the Forgive Yourself podcast. I'm Brenda Reese, your host, and today's episode comes straight out of a conversation I had recently with a client. It was one of those moments where I thought, this right here is something that most of us need to hear. The kind of conversation that hits you like right in the chest because it's so familiar. What came to me was we've done the work. We've read the books. We've listened to the podcast and maybe even gone to therapy. We know what a healthy relationship should look like. And yet, here we are again. We're drawn to someone emotionally unavailable. We're overlooking red flags because the chemistry feels magnetic. Or maybe we're holding on to a relationship that leaves us strained. If you've ever caught yourself thinking, God, I'm smart, I can figure it out at work, but not at home, or I know better. Why do I keep choosing the wrong people? Then this episode is for you, my friend. Today, we're talking about trauma bonds, what they are, how they form, and why breaking free takes more than just willpower. So what is a trauma bond? Let's break this down. A trauma bond is like emotional glue, let's say. It keeps you connected to somebody who's maybe not good for you. And that's often through cycles of hurt, apology, and then reconciliation. Sound familiar? It sure did for me. It's like your heart and your nervous system are on a roller coaster. The highs feel intoxicating, and the lows, they hurt. But here's the kicker. That unpredictability actually strengthens that bond. And it's sneaky because it can feel like love. But really, it is your body responding to something familiar, even if it's not safe or healthy. Here's the thing. Being smart or strong doesn't make you immune to this. I want you to hear that. In fact, the very traits that make you successful can make you more vulnerable. Let's look at a few of these traits. Trait number 1, you're a problem solver. At work, you fix things. In love, you might see emotional distance as a challenge to overcome, rather than a sign to walk away. But relationships aren't projects, and people aren't puzzles to solve in this case. Trait number 2, you've normalized emotional labor. You're used to holding space, giving the benefit of the doubt, staying longer than you should because you see their potential. Yet, this makes it easy to ignore your needs while prioritizing someone else's. Do I know this one super well? And my client did too. I lived this for so long. Trait number 3, the pattern feels familiar. If love was inconsistent growing up, your nervous system learned that connection comes with uncertainty. So unpredictability can actually feel like home. So when someone makes you feel unworthy or constantly on edge, part of you might think, oh, this is what love is. This is what love feels like. I did that in pretty much every single marriage that I had. I've had a few. In my third marriage especially, I remember when I was caught in this cycle. And again, like I said, it was actually in all my marriages. Yet my third marriage, as you know by now, was my kind of my awakener, my eye opener, my heart opener. That's when all the things started crashing down to get me to take a look at my patterns and beliefs. In my third marriage, my ex could be warm and attentive one day and then completely shut down the next. Or actually, sometimes it was just within hours. When he pulled away, I'd feel anxious and restless, like I had to do something to fix it. Can you relate to this? And then when he would come back, it felt like a rush of relief, like the sun had come out, right? Like that. And back then, I told myself, you know, we're just passionate. This is deep love. I love deeply, and I was giving myself all these reasons. But really, my nervous system was hooked on those highs and lows. It wasn't love. It was a trauma bond. And recognizing that truth was one of the hardest but most freeing moments of my healing journey. And that's the thing. When you're in it, it can be so hard to see clearly. So if you're wondering whether you might be in a trauma bond, here are some signs that I see most often. Number 1, you can feel addicted to the person, even when you know it's hurting you. And you know this by the feelings of anxiety, panic, or emptiness when you have thoughts of leaving. You crave those highs, even though the lows are devastating. That is like an addiction, feeling like I can't live with or without this person. And that's what I was. I went to the 12-step program for love addiction from my last marriage because of the fact that, they explained to me that love addiction is like codependence on steroids. And I felt it. It was real to me. And being able to honor that and be aware of that and heal through it has been amazing. Number 2, you make excuses for their behavior. You find yourself focusing on their trauma, their stress, or their so-called good heart, right? We make excuses for them not showing up or apologizing for them. And we do this rather than acknowledging how they're treating us. Then third sign that we might be in a trauma bond is you feel emotionally exhausted. Like you are constantly riding an emotional roller coaster. You keep hoping for that next moment of connection. And you hang on to that. And then you're back on the downside of the roller coaster again. The fourth sign, you start questioning yourself. Am I too much? Am I not enough? Maybe if I just changed my hair. Maybe if I lost weight, if I gained weight, maybe if I dressed differently. Have you had any of those? I just need to be different. Then they'll love me. And number 5, and maybe this is the hardest one. You can't picture life without them. Even if the relationship is hurting you, the idea of being without them feels unbearable. You may find yourself fantasizing about them changing, right? If only they would change. The other one was if I could change, but maybe if they could change, then it would be okay. I think that one was the hardest one for me. That's the one that I talked about in another episode. When I found out that my ex had had an affair, and I tried everything, and I couldn't do enough. I couldn't be enough. I wasn't enough, and I didn't want to live anymore. It was that deep. So I get it. I couldn't picture life without him because I didn't have enough love within myself to know that I'm worthy and that I was going to be okay. That's a trauma bond. Finding that out and getting help and working with therapists and a coach was so healing for me. So out of those 5, if even one of those made your stomach drop, you're not alone, my friend. I get it. Now, here's a bit of science behind what I'm sharing. Here's where it can be validating. This is not about being weak. It's about how the brain works. When affection is inconsistent, it creates a dopamine loop. Just like gambling, you keep chasing the high of the good moments, hoping they will come again. And if love has been unpredictable in the past, maybe from childhood, your brain and body can confuse familiarity with safety. Now, healing from a trauma bond isn't just about leaving. It's about rewiring your nervous system and learning what safe love looks like. Now, here's how you can start to break the bond for yourself. Number 1 is name it. This is about awareness and recognizing the cycle. Saying out loud, hey, I think this is a trauma bond. Remember, it's not about weakness. This is about how our brain works. Recognizing it is the first step to changing and accepting. Number 2, create distance. If it is safe, go no contact. Okay. Now, distance, as I learned when I was addicted, when I felt like I was addicted in my 3rd marriage, I learned distance from the drug, right, is important. And if we're dealing with a relationship addiction, whether you like that term or not, it doesn't matter. If you're feeling or relating to this at all, then abstinence will be your key. That's what I learned when I got sober. I couldn't work in a liquor store. I couldn't sit in a bar when I was first getting sober because it was too tempting. It's kind of like heartbreak. We don't want to be in contact with the person that we feel heartbroken with. It's like stabbing ourselves over and over again. And that's just wrong to do. So create distance if it is safe to go no contact. Now, if it is not safe to go no contact, you want to be able to set clear boundaries with limited contact. Because sometimes there's kids involved. Sometimes there's business involved. So we have to. But this is tougher, though. I want you to hear me on this. This one's tough because I'm going to be honest with you. I tried this because we had some business dealings we had to deal with, and I just kept getting hooked back into the relationship. So if you can give yourself some abstinence, some distance, then create those boundaries, that will be really helpful, if possible. And you don't have to do this alone. You can do this with a therapist, a coach, okay? Now, number 3 is get support, what I was just talking about, because you don't want to do this alone. Trauma bonds are deeply wounded in those attachment wounds. And it would be good to work with a trauma-informed therapist or coach to uncover the beliefs. Because there's a story. There's something underneath this that's keeping you stuck. And trauma-informed therapist or coach can help you create a plan so you don't feel alone. Someone's in your corner. And because shame will keep it hidden, right? Shame will say, I can do it by myself. Nah, you don't need to do that. Don't do that to yourself. Number 4, rebuild self-trust. The real healing, my friend, comes when you stop seeking the love you didn't receive in the past from outside of yourself, and start learning to give it to yourself. Start small though, okay? Reach out for help like we just talked about. You can then, if you've got some experience here, you can start to reparent that beautiful inner child of yours. You can also take a step in starting to be super honest with yourself about where you are at and where you want to be. Okay, just some simple ideas. I'd like to know yours. What are your ideas to rebuild self-trust? And number 5, release blame. It's not your fault. You didn't choose this pattern on purpose, but you can choose to change it. You're not broken. You're just waking up. You're becoming aware. That's important to remember. So in closing, I'd like to share some reminders. Here's some takeaways for you. You're not broken. You've been bonded. Familiarity isn't the same as healthy. Intensity isn't the same as intimacy. You don't have to keep learning through pain. You're allowed to have peace. You're allowed to have love that feels safe. And it starts with you. So if this resonates with you, this is exactly the work I do with high achieving women, helping them break these patterns and create relationships that feel good inside and out. You can reach out to me through the link in the show notes. And let's talk about what your next chapter could look like. And until next time, you deserve more than the pattern. You deserve peace. Take good care of you. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, would you do me a favor and share this episode and then follow us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss one episode of the Forgive Yourself podcast, where every Friday you will get tips, tools, and stories so that you can turn your pain into peace. Take care.